Hello, my dear friends. In the previous video, we left off at the point where we had all the complete board implemented in HTML and CSS. Now we are going to create dice, and we are not going to create a simple dice. We are going to create a 3D dice. So here I would try to animate and show the process behind creating a 3D dice. So first of all, we would use all the same flat sites which were which we designed in 2D, just like these. These are all sides stacked up against each other. So on the top, there is one. So we would simply rotate them 90 degrees. Then we would separate out left and right side and give them proper rotation their own axis. Then we would give front and back and front layer, and then we would arrange them, and this will form our cube. And we would give some rotation to check if the cube is correctly constructed. We would follow exactly the same process in HTML and CSS and create our 3D dice. So let's start creating that. So here we are. We have created the board and we have the tokens. Now we are going to create the 3D dice. So let's get back to our training screen. And let's see, here we would add some markup. First of all, we're going to add a div. This is, we would give it an ID of dice, also class of dice. So this would serve as our 3D dice. First of all, we would need um, class, which is called side. So there are going to be 6 sides for each dice. So let's name them properly. This is side one, and each side would have 9 elements as we saw in our design. These would be the dots inside a dice, and based on which side it is, we would turn on and off those dots. So let's give it a class of dot. So this is going to be our dot, and also dots have their positions. So this one is going to be top left, and let me add others as well. So this one is going to be top middle, and this one is going to be top right. So similarly, we would add 3 more dots for the middle layer, and then 3 more dots for the bottom layer. So this one is going to be, we would just replace top with middle. So let's replace that middle left, middle right, and now the bottom layer. We would replace this middle keeper with bottom. So this is the markup for one side. Similarly, we are going to have 6 sides. So let's create those as well. Side 2, side 3, side 4, side 5, side 6. Let's rename the side as well. So this is going to be side 2. This is going to be side 3. And this is going to be side 4. And this is going to be side 5 and side 6. So this is our markup, and let's start giving some style. So first of all, we would give some style for dice class, and then we would give some style for our dice ID. I would explain the difference in a short while, and also we need to give the style for side, and then we would need to give the style for dot. And later, we would also need to give the styles for all the respective elements, side 1, 2, and so on. So first of all, let's start adding the style for the dice. So our dice would have absolute position. We would have this absolute position for our dice, and we are giving it some style. And this is very important property: transform style preserved in 3D. This is a CSS style guideline which tells us that in this div whatever element it is, we have to preserve the 3D style. This means that we have to preserve this perspective, and we have, if there are some elements which are away from us, they should appear small. If there are elements which are close to the screen, they should appear large, so on. So we preserve these by using this style. Then for dice, currently we only have a property. So let's give it a left of like 15% or 10%. So it would be situated on the top of the screen, and left would be 10%. So let's give the style for the side. So let me quickly add the style and I will explain that as well. So each side would have a position of absolute. Its width would be 50 pixel and height would be same. Then it would have a display of flex, and it would justify content at flex start, and it also has a property of flex wrap. So it's a long row and it would be wrapping around itself whenever the elements cross the width. So this would make sure that we end up with the 3 by 3 grid of dots. So we are giving the gap and padding of 5 by pixels. This is 50 pixels. So then we would add dots and we would know that these are placed in the correct color. Background color is, we are giving a transparent whitish background color. So because, I would show you the result, then you would know why I'm giving this color. Then we are giving it as a slight faint outline of 0.5 opacity black, and we are giving it a border radius of 5 pixels. So it's just a side which has these properties. Then we have dot. So let's give the properties for the dot as well. So our dot has these properties of width and height of 10 pixel and border radius 50%. So it will be a white circle. Then it's a background color of black. So it doesn't matter what color the dot has. We might change this color later. So we can comment this property out as well, because we are going to give the style in the individual uh, sides. Side 1, 2, 3, and 4 and 5 would have their different background colors for their dots. Then this is a very important property, box shadow inset. Inset means the shadow of the this element would be casted inside, so it would give a 3D type of illusion. And by default, we are giving it an opacity of 0, so all dots would be disappeared. But when slowly and gradually, whichever side we would choose, we would turn those dots on. So let's quickly add the styles for those. So for dot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, we are going to add the styles. So let me quickly explain what I'm doing here. So basically, for side 1, we only need the middle dot, and we are giving it a background color of red. So one would appear as red, one dot in the center, and we are giving it some scale. We are giving it increasing the size, and then we are setting its opacity as 1, and we are also giving it a z index of 1. So this transform property, basically the first two, they would place this side on at the center of this dice div, and this last one would translate it in its 3D place. So just like the animation we showed in rotateXT. Similarly, for dot 2, we need top left and bottom right, and we are giving it a color. So this one is actually the blue color. So let's give it the color of blue. So also for this, let's give it a color of blue. So here we have this blue color, and we are also giving it an additional transform of y and x. I would show you why. If we don't give this transform, then the dots would appear on the diagonal corners of for 2, side 2. But if we give this transform, then it looks like the 2 on the dice, which we typically observe. And it also has these transform by default, but then we give it some translation in x-axis and rotation in y-axis. This is as according to the animation I showed in Adobe XP. Similarly, let's give this as two variable as well. So for 3, the dots color is blue, and then we are giving it same translate. For 4, we are giving the red color, which is default CSS property. For 5, we are also giving the blue color. So let's give the color blue. So we have 5 dots, we are giving them color blue. And this one is yellow color, so let's add this yellow color here, yellow color. So we are giving the 6, the dots on 6 as yellow color. Uh, when we will look at it, you will know what I'm talking about. So just bear with me. Okay, so this is going to be our first dice, and also let's give it some sort of animation so that we know that it is a 3D dice. So let me quickly add the keyframes for that animation. So let's add that, add those keyframes. So these are the numbers which I came up with after a lot of experimentation. So let's add it below the dice here. And let's give the dice an animation. So let's give it an animation of so let me quickly grab the animation for the dice. Okay, so this is the animation. So we are giving it the animation of roll for 1 second, easy in and out, infinite alternate. So let's check if this is working in our browser. So um, let's uh, let's share my browser, and okay, so here you can see that if you refresh the page, we can see that there is a dice which is moving, and all the sides are showing the results correctly. So let's try to move it away from the board. So let me quickly give it style. So this left, let's make it like -20, and let's go back to our browser, and let's share the screen. Let's refresh. So this is outside now. So as we can see that we can see a very nice dice, and this is actually based on a real life example of a dice which I had, and the same colors, and it was also a transparent dice. We can create different variations for dices. So let's create one more. Let's create the red dice which we already designed in Adobe XP. So for that, it would be very simple to create another sort of dice. So let's copy this and let's paste it here. All of this markup would be same. We would give it an idea of the red, and then we have to give the style. So for dice, right, we need to give the same animation, and let's give it left of like -25. So it would be on the left of our original dice. And let's give it a delay so that it appears that there is some variation in the animation. So I'm giving the delay of 1 second. The same animation would it would play. And for that, in case of red dice, we have to specify some other properties. So let's quickly add those properties. For the red dice, our site should have, in case of red dice, our site should have the property of background color of red, and our dot should have always have white background, and we are just giving some white outline. So let me check if there are any other properties that we need to set for the red dice. So I think we are good. So let's go back to our browser, and let's see if we can have a red dice. So, okay, so this has currently the same properties as this first one. So let's see where we go wrong. Let me figure that out, and then I will resume. So I have checked, and I've made the timing a little, the delay a little smaller. And let's go back to the browser, and let's see if this okay, let me first show you the fix. So here I fixed that timing a little bit, and then I am just going to go back to the browser, and let me show you this assignment currently what it is, what's happening. So let's refresh, and we can see that we have a red dice and transparent dice. So there, these two are the dice. And this is how we create dice, 3D dice for our Ludo. But it's not complete yet because we need to add some sort of functionality on it. So basically, we are going to implement a very basic, simple role. So I would make them stop here and remove the animation. And basically, we would make dice roll on click. So let's get back to the code, and let's remove this animation from both of them. And let's see how they behave. Let's get back to the browser and let's hit refresh. So their default position is that one is on the top. So this is good. So on when no rotation and translation is provided, so they rest at one. So let's get back and let's add some functionality. So in order to add, we can give them on click event. So on click, let's call this function roll dice. And as we have two dice, so let's give an index. So this one is going to be 0, and the other one is going to be 1. So we would know that which dice has been clicked. Okay, so here let's write this function. We have index, and first of all, based on that index, suppose if index equals to 0, then our let's try to figure out. First of all, we need to get the dice. So let's say that dice equals to document dot get element by ID dice. So, but if we have but if we have a dice, if we have the index different, if we have a different index, so in that case we need to account for that. So let me quickly add that conditional statement here. So this is going to be like this. So our dice is going to be like this, where we have a dice based on our index. If our index is 0, it means we don't need to add anything. If index is 1, then this condition will be true and we would add red. So it would select the correct dice. Then for the dice to work, we have to also have the restart animation function because we want to give some animation to the dice for the roll. So let's give that function here. This is a very same function which we saw in our one of the previous videos for the flat display. We use the same function because in JavaScript, if you want to animate an element again and again, you have to have this kind of setup. We have to clear the animation and then we have to set offset and then give the new animation. So we have made this mechanism here. Then we would also need to give the animation. So let's animate this. So we would give this dice an animation. This is the same animation that we were giving in our style CSS. Then we also need to set the role. So we have to decide what is the role, and we have to give that role to the dice. So first of all, let's write the set timeout function. So we have to give the set timeout of 1 second after this function has been launched. After 1 second, we have to set the role for the dice. So let me write a function to set the role. We would call set role. We would pass in a dice, and we would also pass in the role. So let me explain this, what we are trying to achieve here. So first of all, we would generate a number. Let's call this function set dice. So we would have to set the position of the dice. Okay, so here we would generate a random roll between 1 and 6, which is like the function of which is our random function, and we this would simulate the rolling of dice in actual Ludo. So we would get this, and then we have to call this function. And here we also have to specify that we want to finish the animation. So let's reset the animation to none. We don't need any animation here, and we would just also transform. So in order for this function to work correctly, we need to add two. We need to add this function. So let me quickly copy this function, and let's add this function here. Uh, Basically, we need to add some variables. So we have this variable. These are the transforms which show different phases. This one is for one, phase one, and this one is for phase two, and so on. Phase three, and this one is for phase four, and this one is for phase five, and this one is for phase six. So we are going to have these. So whenever we pass in a roll and a dice, then we would just use this line. We would transform it based on this arrangement. Then our dice would settle on one roll. And now let's try to see if this works. So let's go back to the browser, and let's hit refresh, and let's click on this dice. So when we click on this dice, it rolls and generates a random roll. Let's click on it again. Now this time it has resulted in a 2, and so on. So we can simulate a random roll by clicking on it. Let's click on this one. This one also works well. And whenever we click on it, we generate a random roll. So this is pretty much it for this video. We have successfully created a 3D dice, and we have also been able to generate a random roll based on our clicks. In the next video, we would start implementing the gameplay. So that's all for this video. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next part.